Good afternoon and welcome to all of you joining us today. This is our second live webinar on the subject GPT for Enterprise, but today's topic will be a little bit different from the previous one, and we are going to talk about Beyond Chat GPT-powered agents for digital transformation. My name is Donela Pilipovic and I'm a senior client executive here at Authority Partners. I'm thrilled to be your moderator for today's exclusive event. I must say that we had an overwhelming response to this topic, and we are excited to have so many participants connected today. But before we start, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules. Firstly, we set aside 15 minutes for Q&A at the end of the webinar. You can submit your questions at any time by typing them into the question window at the right bottom side of your screen. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible before we wrap up. But if we run out of time, we'll follow up with you via email. And secondly, if you would like to have more in-depth private conversation about any of the topics discussed today or any of Authority Partner service offerings, please follow the pop-up screen that will be displayed at the end of the webinar, or follow the Skip the Line link in your registration email or webinar registration page. With that said, I'm pleased to introduce Errol Karabek, co-founder and president of Authority Partners. Errol will be leading today's discussion on Beyond Chat GPT-powered agents for digital transformation. Errol, take it away.
Thank you, Donela, and warm welcome to all of you joining us today. For those of you who I haven't had the privilege of meeting before, I started coding some 4 decades ago, and I still enjoy and admire the elegance of expertly crafted code. 25 years ago, Maya and I started Authority Partners with the mission of creating the best technology solutions for our client partners. Thousands of successful projects later, we are grateful for our global network of amazing colleagues and the best client partners we could ask for. This is our second webinar related to generative AI and to our GPT for Enterprise service offering. Considering the pace of advances in generative AI, it looks like this is going to be a continuing series. If you were with us in March, you gained insights into the technology behind the generative pre-trained transformer, GPT. While we won't delve into that theory today, those interested can revisit the recording of our March webinar. It's available on the Authority Partners website under Insights. So what's new since then? Let's catch up. These past 6 months brought significant advances in prompt engineering, vector similarity algorithms, neural network architectures, and in many other areas of AI. However, for me, the most exciting of the recent advancements in generative AI is the evolution of GPT agents. GPT agents let your customers talk directly to your data and services. You probably saw this statement in some of our communication, but what does it even mean? 6 months ago, we showed how to enable your users and customers to use natural language to directly query your enterprise data. Today, we are taking it a step further by integrating your services into this dynamic equation. This webinar will give you the fundamentals on how to go beyond just getting information and generating documents. We'll show you how to enable your users and customers to directly invoke your enterprise services using natural language. So here is our agenda for today. After this welcome, we'll dissect the anatomy of an enterprise-level generative AI application. Next, we'll show example generative AI products under development at Authority Partners. Number 4, we'll talk about our approach to delivering generative AI products and solutions. And after a brief overview of a company, we'll conclude with a Q&A session. Before we dive in, let's make sure that we can make this session as valuable as possible. Please take a moment to answer the question you see in the polls window. You should find the polls window in the bottom right corner of your screen. There is a button there, and it's going to pop up. The question we are asking is, what best describes your interest in today's topic? So if you're just curious, and really want to learn more, choose the first option. I want to learn more about this technology, or I may have some use cases for it. If you already know what you would like to solve with GPT. Select the second option. I have no idea for a generative AI project and need an advice or a team to do it. And you have a third option. I already have an ongoing generative AI project and want to learn about others' approaches and experience. So let me see where we stand with the results. Okay, looks like most people are in the first group, which is great. That's exactly, we have to do least amount of changes for that situation. Thank you very much. Let's continue. To begin exploring GPT agents, let's first explain the anatomy of a generative AI applications. Let's start with an application that everyone is familiar with, ChatGPT. We'll use ChatGPT to help us understand the components of a simple generative AI product. I say simple because with ChatGPT, 99% of the value is in the AI model, the GPT-4 or GPT 3.5 large language model. Chat application itself is indeed really simple. OpenAI launched it as an UI over the application programming interface more than 2 years after having the model available for programmatic use. So let's dissect ChatGPT. Let's first look at the security. Obviously, when I first come to the application, I need to log in. Application needs to authenticate me and then see what features am I authorized to use. Do I have ChatGPT Plus account, etc., etc. Next, we need to look at chat management. So it has chat management to keep track of messages in the current chat. It manages multiple historical chats. And this is kind of a short-term, high-fidelity memory for the large language model. Third component is a prompt management. Basically, this functionality exists behind the visible user interface, and prompt management needs to combine messages from the current chat with your account configuration and turn it into prompts or queries that the underlying large language model can understand. And it also needs to translate large language model replies into messages for the user. And finally, there is a long-term memory. Once active chat becomes too big for the model, ChatGPT has to start summarizing and grouping older chat messages and storing them into long-term memory. Typically, these messages are retrieved only if they are relevant to what user is currently typing. So this is fundamentally the architecture of the ChatGPT application. Let's now see it in action. Oops, sorry. So yeah, so I'm logged in and we have that familiar new chat window. And when I type my messages, ChatGPT will compose a prompt and send it to the underlying large language model. So I'm going to ask it a question. Can you write me a haiku about benefits of the GPT for an enterprise? And off it goes. It understood my question. It understood that it's in a different format, haiku format, and then it's bragging about its own capabilities. Not very modest. However, I must admit I use ChatGPT daily. It's like my personal researcher on demand. The amount of knowledge it has is really cool, but also kind of useless for what I want to do. It's useless because what I really want to do is execute our company mission and provide our products and services to our customers. And to do that, I need to have our customers understand our information and engage with our services. If they could do this in their natural language, it would create unique new engagement experience. In other words, I want to let our customers talk directly to our enterprise data and services. Enter GPT for Enterprise. GPT for Enterprise is our service offering aimed at helping our client partners go from vision to launch for a generative AI product or a solution. It also has application architecture and the optional set of ready-to-use components that let us quickly and reliably build custom AI applications. As you can see on the diagram, enterprise generative AI application needs some of the same components that we already encountered with ChatGPT. But we also need to bring our enterprise data and services into the equation. To do that, we need to add data adapters and services catalog components. Let's briefly touch upon each component of the GPT for Enterprise application architecture. Let's start with security. As with ChatGPT, we need to authenticate and authorize our users. But in the enterprise setting, we may encounter different security providers. That's why we developed standardized claim-based security architecture that can leverage enterprise security systems like Office 365, Azure AD, popular internet scale systems like Auth0, and any of the standards-based social identity providers like Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Next component is conversation management. That's another component that we've already encountered with ChatGPT. It still serves as the short-term high-fidelity memory for the current conversation. However, in GPT for Enterprise architecture, we may have multiple agents participating and collaborating in the same conversation. Another improvement that we had to develop is using both natural language and structured data in user-to-agent conversations. We want our users to talk to our enterprise data and services, but sometimes it makes more sense to just show them a diagram or a map, creating a mixed structured and unstructured UI. When using a commercial large language model, we also need to track and manage costs. And finally, we construct our GPT agents to continuously optimize solution workflows. Prompt management component, it needs to adjust to using variety of large language models. Most cases allows us to use commercial models like OpenAI's GPT-4, while some require privately hosted open source models like Meta's Llama 2. Depending on the business use case, we can use different prompt engineering techniques like the popular chain of thought or more costly but more reliable tree of thought method. Long-term memory becomes even more important with enterprise generative AI applications. In an enterprise application, we may bring terabytes of data into agents' long-term memory. So we need very efficient semantic indexing and retrieval methods. That's why we learn to utilize a variety of the most popular commercial and open source vector databases like Pinecone, Quadrant, Chroma, and Milvus. We've developed several strategies to decide when and how to move data from short-term memory into long-term agent memory. These strategies are also an important part of this component. And we've developed a way to incorporate natural language snippets of business logic into agents' memory to help them make better decisions. Moving on to data adapters. Data adapters is a new architectural component when compared with ChatGPT. This is where we start to see a very unique value of the GPT for Enterprise application architecture. By incorporating enterprise data from documents, databases, media, chats, and other sources into agents' memory and making it accessible to underlying large language model, we essentially allow users to talk directly to this data. LLM will find the answers and even format the data in the way requested by the user. And finally, the services catalog. This component allows us to add any web or microservice exposed via an API into our generative AI application. With our flexible architecture, we can even use custom plugins to connect to legacy applications and any other digital asset in your organization. This lets us reflect your company's capabilities as the GPT agent skills, thus letting your users consume those services using natural language. So this concludes the overview of GPT for enterprise application architecture. In other words, this is what generative AI products built by authority partners look like on the inside. And I know this may be a lot of theory, but let's see how this works in practice. I'll show some examples of generative AI applications currently in development authority partners. One of those applications or a couple of them are internal applications, and another one is for a client. So first application I'm going to show is this implemented as a chatbot, or chatbot is the UI for this application. We call it AP Assistant. So AP Assistant, and some of you might have seen it before, helps our consultants understand the rules that guide our everyday life at authority partners. We, as many other companies do, we keep our policy documents in SharePoint folders. And in this case, this is the actual folder where we keep all of our company policies, basically just a bunch of folders for different things. AP Assistant is a generative AI application that breaks down these policy documents into meaningful chunks and uses semantic indexing to turn policy information into searchable knowledge base with document metadata. In other words, AP Assistant uses GPT for Enterprise data adapter component to let users, who are our consultants in this case, talk directly to authority partners' policies. Just to show you real quick, here is the user interface for our application. And basically, you can see how we can quickly, I can uncheck this, and this is now deleted from the knowledge base. I can put it back in. Now it's back in the knowledge base, etc. So let's see what this really looks like in action. I'm going to ask our chatbot, what are the duties of a Scrum Master? And basically, okay, sign in. Thank you. Okay, so it's thinking, okay, found it. So it looks like it found two policies, summarized all the duties of the Scrum Master from both policies, and answered the question. I can even ask it a little bit more complex question. Let me do this. So I'm going to ask it, what are the key differences between the program architect and the program manager? So what I'm doing here is, asking him, basically, I'm giving him two different concepts, program architect, program manager, and asking him to find the differences. So what it needs to do is it needs to find the policies related to both and then compare and contrast. And it did this successfully. If I see this, so it found our roles overview and found both roles in it and then compared them, what they do. Program architect is authorized to define the architecture of the program, makes suggestions on promotions, blah, blah, blah. Reports to engineering manager. On the other hand, program manager has the authority to plan and execute programs, manage resources, report to higher level management, program architect, and so on and so forth. Great job. As you can see, this application is able to find relevant parts of index policies, then understand the policy data and the question itself, and give good, meaningful answers. But this is a 6-month-old technology. It's old news in the AI world. So let's see what the new generation of generative applications can do. AP Assistant Plus Plus is our new generation assistant. So it's an application that builds on the AP Assistant, but adds service catalog capabilities, letting the users talk not only to authority partners' data, but also to our services. So let's ask the following question to both of these applications. What are the guidelines and policies about giving feedback to consultants? Okay, I guess I need to log in to access these services. Perfect. And then this guy. Okay. So I'm asking them the same question just to see what's going to happen, what type of answer are they going to produce. Okay. Looks like this assistant has found 2 policies about feedback. One is the feedback system description, one is consultant handbook, and it's telling us how feedback is done at authority partners. Our new assistant did something similar, basically found the feedback system policy, and it explained how feedback is given to consultants. Great. So far, so good. Let's now move towards GPT agent functionality. Let's ask these applications to actually record the feedback for us. So I'm going to ask our new agent, can you please help me record feedback for Michael? And I'm going to ask our old agent, same question, can you please help me record feedback for Michael? Let's see what they do with this. So our Assistant Plus Plus is saying it actually went to our management system. It found 4 Michaels in our consulting pool and said, could you please provide the last name? Here are the options. Okay, I was thinking about our Chief Revenue Officer, Mr. Michael Logas, so number 4. Let's see what this guy says. To record feedback for Michael, you can follow these tips. Give feedback on time based on blah, 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 blah. Use STAR model when giving feedback. It's basically just still trying to guide me to how to give feedback, which is exactly what I expected, but not what I want. I want to move past that, and I want to have an assistant who is actually going to do it for me. So let's continue with our new assistant. It says, great, we will record feedback for Michael Loga. What type of feedback would you like? Here are a few options, praise or suggestion. I want to praise Michael. Number 1. Okay, let's see what's gonna ask next. It's saying, all right, you want to give praise. Now, could you please specify the skill? Achievement, analytical thinking, communication. Now, it was about the client meeting. So that's number 4. Client focus and collaboration. Now you've chosen, okay. Can you please provide a feedback comment now? I actually want Robot to help me with this. Can you please help me with the text of the feedback? I want to praise Michael for taking charge and leading great discussion in a client meeting today. Let's see what our new assistant does with this. Sure, here is a draft of the feedback for Michael Logan. Michael, I was really impressed with your performance at the client meeting. You took charge and led great discussion, demonstrating excellent client focus and collaboration skills. Yeah. Your ability to steer conversation. Does this sound good? Yes, perfect. Sounds great. Let's please. Sounds great. Please record that feedback. Awesome. Let's see what's going to happen. Does it need more information or is it done? Oh, the feedback for Michael Loga has been successfully recorded. Is there anything you need help with? No, thank you very much. Okay, so let me just show what happened in the backend. We have this system that we kind of throw everything we need into, among feedback, among other things. But I already see a notification here. And then I see API synthesis suggested a feedback. Let's see here. And yeah, Michael, I was really impressed with your performance in the client meeting today. You took charge and led a great discussion demonstrating excellent. Okay, thank you. Accept feedback. Great job. Okay. So that's kind of what this assistant, how it works. Now, if you translate this to many use cases where an application consumes a web service, it's powerful, but why is it better than traditional app dev technologies like React, .NET, or something like that? Let me give you a quick look behind the scenes at our ready-to-use module that enabled us to do this in literally minutes instead of hours or more. So here, what I'm looking at here is our agent, our generative agent platform that lets us quickly configure agents and give them some capabilities. So in our case, I have two sides. I have agents and plugins, which are data and service plugins. So we have just one agent configured here. It's our API Assistant++. And in terms of plugins, we have one that's talking to that's doing semantic search through our knowledge base of policies, and another one that connects to our pre-existing feedback service that's built for the purposes of our front-end application. On the agent prototype, I just basically I didn't have to give any kind of behavioral DNA to the agent. I didn't have to give it any memories like business rules and stuff. I just connected the agent to these two prototypes, and that's all the stuff we did. We didn't do really any coding for it. LLM knows what to do as soon as the large language model sees these capabilities exposed. It basically can navigate and ask me questions about it and stuff like that. So one more item, I guess, that I skipped that we needed is the chatbot. So we have a piece of pre-configured chatbot code that nobody has to touch, that plugs into MS Teams, and it knows how to consume agents from our generative agent platform. So, putting it all together really just took minutes instead of hours or longer. So now thinking about, millions of use cases where you want to combine several existing services and data into a new product or a feature, I guess you'll understand why we are so excited about the savings and the increased engagement that GPT for Enterprise brings to our clients. Another example of an app using this platform is My Crew AI. So this is an app that we are building for a client. It's a consumer app whose mission is to give humans time to be human. Basically, this is an app where you can hire a team, a crew of specialized AI agents to do your chores for you. Now, since the micro AI is still in stealth mode, we can't show you their real features, but you get idea where this technology can go. So I'll just do a couple of simple things. So I'm just going to hire Helen and Elvis and Rick and Robert, and I'll ask them to do a couple of things for me. So Helen's specialty was cooking, I believe. So I'll ask Helen, find me a good seared ahi recipe, please. Okay. And then Elvis was into music and YouTube and stuff. So there's this podcast that I like. It's called All In. So Elvis, what's the URL for the All In podcast on YouTube? And Rick was into surfing and hiking and weather. So ask him about weather in Irvine, California, where our headquarters is located. And then Robert was into travel, that sort of stuff. So since I have an upcoming trip to Houston, I'll ask Robert to give me the best flights from Orange County to Houston. Okay, so let's see how they're doing. Helen found some recipes online. I'm just gonna ask her to read me number one. That one, 6-minute seared tuna, looks fine. Elvis actually did find what I asked him. So let me try. Is this the address? Yeah, that's our all-in podcast address. Great job. Great job, Elvis. Thank you. What did Rick say? Rick is still thinking. Robert? Okay, Robert found some pages with airline information, with flight information. I'm just going to ask it to use cheap flights info. Okay, please use flights on the number 5 cheap flights website. Rick still thinking about weather. Okay, maybe he's still surfing on the beach. I'm not sure what happened with Rick. Let's see, Helen. Okay, Helen, is looking for her glasses. She's a little bit older agent in her 80s. So I guess we will need to wait for her a little bit. Elvis is done. Rick is lost on the beach. Maybe I can ask him the same question. No. Okay. And Robert is thinking. Okay. Basically, we'll let these guys think a little bit, but I'll show you how we actually implement this. Again, it's just our platform. Obviously, these guys did a little bit more work on the UI. They didn't use our pre-canned chatbot, but these are agent prototypes again. and these are plugins that they use. So now, since you see that plugin list is empty, how are these agents doing anything? Well, we kind of cheated here, right? Like we gave everybody just Google search and web scraping skill so they can do rudimentary tasks just using Google and web scraping. Basically, each one of them has the same skills. We just changed their DNA so that when you have a conversation with them, they kind of feel different because they have different interests, but basically their skill set is the same. Let me see if they finished. Robert is still thinking. Rick, he had trouble accessing weather information. Okay, sorry about that. And Robert, okay, he found my flights from SNA to Houston International. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Cheapest is Spirit for 45, and then Frontier and Delta for 104. Awesome. Thank you, Robert. So finally, just want to mention one more thing. Chat is obviously not the ultimate user interface of the future. It's going to be part of it, but we think that mixed natural language and structured interfaces will be the norm. So I invite you all to stay tuned for our next webinar where we'll show you how to build multimodal UI with backend tasks being executed by many collaborating agents. I hope you liked our approach to designing and implementing GPT agents and that this demo part inspired you to leverage GPT for Enterprise to build your next AI product. But now I will ask our Vice President of Service Delivery, Austin Duncan, to tell us how his organization approaches delivering GPT products for our client partners. Austin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Earl. To begin with any project, it's important we start asking why. Why are we building this product, and why are we using GPT for Enterprise? Our primary goal is to achieve a specific business outcome. Like any other custom software, a generative AI application has its own objectives that aim to address a particular need. The second objective is providing your customers with access to your data and services through natural language. The ability to utilize the complete capabilities of a user's natural language simplifies the UI and significantly enhances customer engagement. Finally, by using adaptive and composable GPT for Enterprise architecture, we can help with our ready-use components to launch the solution faster than the traditional active software process. We go in 4 steps. First, we like to start with a product discovery, where we sit down and talk about what you want from a product and who it's for, and we come up with a big picture plan. Then we'll spend a number of weeks with you as we dig deep into the rules, how it connects to other systems, and what features we have. In the end, the composition is ready for development with a backlog and a roadmap. We then enter into a product delivery phase. We'll begin to quickly iterate on your identified MVP while seeking feedback early and often. Once you've reached your MVP, we'll go ahead and work on making this a handover for you, where we'll give you everything you need to go ahead and run this. And if you want, our team of authority partners can keep looking after it for you, sticking around to make sure it runs smoothly and making any updated needs to the system. With that, I want to go ahead and hand this on over to Michael Loga to talk a little bit about authority partners. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Austin. Here we are. Authority Partners is an IT services firm with a specialization in building customized software solutions. It was founded as a startup, as Earl mentioned, 25 years ago in 1998 out of Irvine, California. This is a tremendous accomplishment because if you Google it, this accomplishment, companies that have been in business 25 years, as studies have shown 20% of startups fail within the first 2 years and 50% within the next 5 years. Less than 5% of companies that make it to 25 years. So again, a tremendous achievement. From our base in Southern California, we have expanded globally. We have created 3 more technology hubs, 1 in Central America, 1 in Eastern Europe, and 1 in Asia, as you can see on the map. We've also grown to almost 500 consultants covering 13 time zones, relying on our 3 dev hubs, as well as having remote consultants in more than 30 countries worldwide. Next, please. Our services. The way we engage with our client partners is quite simple. We can start with staff augmentation. Maybe you have somebody on maternity leave, or maybe you just need to fill in a spot when you might have somebody who left suddenly. Everything starts with great people, and sometimes that's all our clients need. So whether you need an engineer, a scrum master, or product manager, we can definitely work on the staff augmentation level. Our next level is one of our more core offerings, the managed teams. In this engagement type, we organize our engineers into pods with all the necessary roles, and we use our perfected solution engineering method to collaborate with the client's product team and turn any product backlog into working software. Next is our build offering. And within our build offering, it literally builds on top of the previous service, adding more product management responsibilities to build applications and systems that drive desired outcomes. You could think about the difference between the build and the managed teams offering as you're owning the deliverables on the managed teams. We're burning off backlog. On the build, we're coming in more with a product vision, a product discovery, and we're owning the outcomes there. And last, our transform. This is where we have our senior research and development people, our engineering managers, our solution architects, and we're taking an advisory approach to any solution. An example of this is when we could go in and we could work with your engineers and recommend some AI solutions for coding, such as like Copilot, Code Climate, Microsoft IntelliCode, and ProtoPie, such applications like that we can use to code. Next, please. So what kind of solutions do we typically work on? The largest part of our current engagement portfolio are large distributed enterprise applications, typically in the cloud with web and mobile front ends. They typically have microservices backend and managed APIs separating layers of the system. We also have, where another big area that we focus in is BI and analytics. We design data lakes, data warehouses, and visualization dashboards and reports to facilitate the best decision-making. You can see we have a wide variety of our capabilities and anything within the IT ecosystem. And lastly, why our clients choose us. Next slide, please. Okay, in the United States, you can Google how many IT services firms there are, and currently there's over 585,000. Many of them all having the same messaging, saying that they can build great software products, or they're more agile, and anybody who's in an IT position of leadership at a client has been overwhelmed with the number of emails they get on solicitations, the number of LinkedIn notifications they get, the cold calls. We understand it's a crowded environment, but what we're a data-driven organization. And what we want to point out is 3 things that we think really differentiate us and show us that we do deliver. One is our net promoter score at 60. A net promoter score of 60 when the industry average is somewhere between 25 and 30 is exceptional. That shows us that our clients are really recommending us to other people. Secondly is our top 10 client tenure, which is over 7 years. 7 years that we come in, we deliver, and clients stay with us. And lastly, the people that work with us, our colleagues. We have an average tenure of 4.4 years. Industry average is around 2 years. That means that this is a great place to work and people appreciate the work they're doing. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Errol. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. And we are going to go now into our Q&A session. So let me check what questions did we get in our queue. We have one first question that I see here is how do we ensure that our secret information is not shared with other companies by using these types of services? Thank you very much for this question. As we've seen in the diagram, basically we use enterprise level authentication authorization system. So we authenticate every user. We pass that token and claims throughout the system to both to the data connectors and to services, so that only users that have proper authorization can access data and services. Therefore, it's like, I guess, any other application technology where data is properly protected both at rest and in flight. I see another question. We are interested in integrating our company data into a system like this, and we have a lot of hidden data. Can this solution connect to any data repository? Yes, thank you for this question. Absolutely. So we have this very flexible plugin system. You can basically plug in any service that has Swagger or Open API description, or for those that don't, you can build your own Swagger file. There are tools for that, and you just drop the Swagger file into our administrative console, and basically you're set. You can also build a custom plugin according to specifications that we have, so that you can connect to any type of legacy data or legacy system. I hope that answers this question. I see another one. Is this version of chat available for the public? Like, could I ask what AP's responses are to these questions, but without inside of your local Teams interface? It is an interesting question. We haven't built it something like this yet, but yes, this was an idea floated around as well. Should we put it on our website and stuff like that? So please, for David, who is asking this question, if you don't mind, ping Onela or myself later, and we can certainly explore this idea. It's an interesting idea. So this is all the time we've reserved for today. If you have any other questions or you remember something, please send us an email. And we are going to answer all of the remaining questions in a follow-up email next week. And to close us out, here is our client executive moderator, Onela Filipovic, with a few words. Thank you all, and Onela, please take over.
Thank you, Errol. This was really interesting. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you found it interesting as well, and you enjoyed this session. And I hope you learned something new. Special thanks goes to our Authority Partners team who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this happen today. As Errol mentioned, and Michael as well, we are a global consulting company. So if you'd like to discuss more in depth about any of these services that we mentioned today, or to talk and hear more about GPT for Enterprise, please follow up the pop-up window that will be displayed on your screen, or use skip the line link in your registration email or webinar registration page. Thank you once more and have a great day. Stay tuned for our next webinar.